Now, the head of Russia's Security Council has accused the West of interference in the internal affairs of sovereign states through the creation of so-called anti-terror coalitions. Nikolai Patrushev referred to the U.S. military intervention in Syria, where he said foreign airstrikes against ISIL terrorists have been sporadic. He attributed the failed campaign to the West's attempt to topple Syria's legitimate government by supporting militant groups in the country. He said the U.S. targets ISIL positions only where Takfiri terrorists endanger Washington's interests. Patrushev called for a more active role on the part of the United Nations and Security Council in the fight against terrorists. The official also voiced concern over the presence of hundreds of Russian nationals alongside Takfiri militants in the Middle East who could return home as battle-hardened terrorists. To get more on that, we're now joined by Marina Kortunova, who is Press TV's correspondent, joining us live now from the Russian capital, Moscow, via Skype. Marina, tell us a bit more about what was said.
Good afternoon, dear colleagues. Russian Security Council Secretary Nikolai Patrushev, in his Monday interview with Kommersant Daily, told, let me quote the main phrase of the interview, that the United States wants Russia to cease to exist as a country. And the purpose of anti-terrorist coalitions being created by Western countries is to interfere in internal affairs of sovereign states. According to the Russian officials, such a scenario can be seen in Syria, where, in an attempt to topple legitimate President Bashar Assad, the West offers support to the opposition forces. That is why the strikes on ISIL jihadist groups' targets in the country are sporadic. Let me quote him, if the terrorists are fighting against official Syria's government, they can be regarded as legitimate. And if their actions are detrimental to the U.S. interests, such as in Iraq, the terrorists should be destroyed, Nikolai Patrushev said. He emphasized that the fight against terrorism by separate states or by a group of states cannot be effective in principle. He mentioned that Russia insists that a key coordinating role in countering of the terrorism should be attributed to the United Nations and its Security Council. He also mentioned that Russia possesses enormous riches, and Americans believe that I'm mentioning his point of interview about Russia, that Americans believe that Russians hold them illegally and undeservedly because, in their view, Russians don't use them in the way they should. He recalled words of U.S. ex-Secretary of State Madeleine Albright that neither the Far East nor Siberia belongs to Russia. Also, he mentioned that the United States influences Europe, imposing on it a sanctions policy against Russia and non-acceptance of Crimea's reunification with the Russian Federation. So these are three main points of his Monday interview.
Okay, Marina, thanks very much for that. That was Marina Kortunova, who was speaking to us live from Moscow.